Hey guys, it's Miss Clark. I am coming to you on November 9th, 2020 with our reading lesson, which is called Those Shoes by Maribeth Belts. Okay. So, our I can statement is I can describe the overall structure of a story or overall parts of a story. So, we have some vocabulary. We have grip, nudge, pounding, thrift, shove, shuffling, limp, leap, and outgrew. And we also have some phrases like there is no room for want around here, just need, and then sits down heavy. So I want you to be listening for those as we listen to the story. So we're going to listen to the story. We're going to talk about the beginning, middle, and end of the story. And we're also going to, at the end, you're going to talk about how the beginning introduces the characters, how the middle shares the main events and problem, and how the end concludes the story. And then we've got some questions to think about at the very end. All right, so let's get started.
I have dreams about those shoes. Black high tops, 2 white stripes. Grandma, I want them. There's no room for want around here, just need, Grandma says. And what you need are new boots for winter. Brandon T comes to school in those shoes. He says he's the fastest runner now, not me. I was always the fastest before those shoes came along. Nate comes to school in those shoes. Antonio and I count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom. 7 times in one day, just so he can walk up and down the hall real slow. Next, Alan, Jacoby, and Terrence each get a pair. Then one day, in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes comes apart. Looks like you could use a new pair, Jeremy, Mr. Alfred, the guidance counselor, says. He brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size, Velcro, like the ones my little cousin Marshall wears. They have an animal on them from a cartoon I don't think any kid ever watched. When I come back to the classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my Mr. Alfred shoes and laughs. And so do Terrence, Brandon T, and everyone else. The only kid not laughing is Antonio Parker. At home, Grandma says, "How kind of Mr. Alfred." I nod and turn back. I'm not going to cry about any dumb shoes. But when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word looks like the word shoes. And my grip is so tight on my pencil, I think it might bust. On Saturday, Grandma says, "Let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much." I got a little bit of money set aside. Might be enough. You never know. At the shoe store, Grandma turns those shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, she sits down heavy. Maybe they wrote it down wrong. Grandma shakes her head. Then I remember the thrift shops. What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his, or got 2 pairs for Christmas and had to give one of them away? We ride the bus to the first thrift shop. Black cowboy boots, pink slippers, sandals, high heels, every kind of shoes except the ones I want. We ride the bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of those shoes in sight. Around the corner is the third thrift shop. I see something in the window. Black shoes with 2 white stripes. High tops. Perfect shape. $2.50. Those shoes. My heart is pounding hard as I take off my shoes and hitch up my baggy socks. How exciting, Grandma says. What size are they? I shove my foot into the first shoe, curling my toes to get my heel in. I don't know, but I think they fit. Grandma kneels on the floor and feels for my toes at the end of the shoe. "Oh, Jeremy," she says, "I can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit." I pull the other shoe on and try to walk around. "They're okay," I say, holding my breath and praying that my toes will fall off right then and there. But my toes don't fall off. I buy them anyway with my own money, and I squeeze them on and limp to the bus stop. At home a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet and doesn't say a word about my 2 big feet shuffling around in my 2 small shoes. Sometimes shoes stretch, I say. Grandma gives me a hug. I check every day, but those shoes don't stretch. I have to wear my Mr. Alfreys to school instead. One day during math, I glance at Antonio's shoes. One of them is taped up, and his feet look smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to think. Antonio is there, the only kid who didn't laugh at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. We shoot baskets. A loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoe smacks the concrete every time he jumps. I think, I'm not going to do it. We leap off the swings. I'm not going to do it. We race from one end of the playground to the other. I'm not going to do it, I say. Do what? Antonio says, breathing hard. Grandma calls me for supper and invites Antonio over too. After supper, he spies my shoes. How come you don't wear them? Antonio asks. I shrug. My hands are sweaty. I can feel him wishing those shoes were his. That night, I am awake for a long time thinking about Antonio. When morning comes, I try on my shoes one last time. Before I can change my mind, the shoes are in my coat. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across the street to Antonio's apartment. I put the shoes in front of his door, push the doorbell, and run. At school, Antonio is smiling big in his brand new shoes. I feel happy when I look at his face, and mad when I look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. But later, when it's time for recess, something happens. Everywhere, there is snow. Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your boots, the teacher announces. Leave your shoes in the hall. It's then I remember what I have in my backpack. New boots. New black boots that no kid has ever worn before. Standing in line to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and says, Thanks. I smile and give him a nudge. Let's race!
All right, so now that we've listened to the story about those shoes, let's talk about the beginning, middle, and end of the story. So the beginning introduces the characters and setting, right? And then we have the middle of the story, which shares the main events and the problem. Okay, so be thinking about the problem in the story. And then how the end concludes the story or brings it all together and has the solution. Okay, so I want you to discuss it right now with someone at your home or someone near you. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, and then we have some questions. So Jeremy's grandmother says, there's no room for want around here, just need. What do you think the grandmother meant when she said this? Okay, probably meant that they were kind of low on money, right? You know, you can want something really bad and then not be able to have it, and you can't afford it because you can want it but not have enough money for it. So what is the difference between a want and a need? Okay, so the author says that grandma sits down heavy after she sees the price of the shoes. So what does this mean? How is grandma feeling in this moment and why? So this is when they're looking at the new shoes that Jeremy really wants, right? Okay. Then it says, the text says, Jeremy's heart is pounding hard. Why do you think his heart was pounding hard, and how was he feeling at this moment? Okay, so he's pounding when he's thinking about having to give his shoes away. Or maybe it was the time when he was putting the shoes on his feet. I think it was that one. All right, so now that you've talked about the beginning, middle, and end of the story, let's look at the vocabulary again. So we have grip, which means like how hard you hold on to something. Nudge means like kind of push. We have pounding, which is beating really hard. We have thrift, like thrift store. It means it's secondhand. Someone else has used it before. Shove is another word for push, just like nudge. Shuffling means like, you're walking kind of slowly. Limp means that you're kind of hobbling on one leg. Leap means jump, and then outgrew means that you're bigger than something that you have. Like Jeremy outgrew his shoes, right? And then there's no room for want around here, just need, right? They don't have a whole lot of money to afford it. And then sits down heavy means kind of depressed or sad. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the book. I really do. It has a great lesson in it, which we will discuss later in the week. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.